Some big changes at the Muny. We'll have details coming up next on City Corner. I'm Steve Potter, and welcome to City Corner. Well, 2020 has been a very interesting year, not all in a good way for all of us, including those at the Muny. But they do have some good news, things on the calendar, and we want to welcome the Muny's president and CEO, Denny Reagan. Hi, Denny. How are you?
Fine, Steve. How are you doing? It's good to be back with you.
Yeah, you've been a regular on this show from time to time over the years, although it's been a while now, and you certainly have been a regular at the Muny. Two big pieces of news. One is that you've announced a new season, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But the second big news is that after many, many years, you are retiring.
I am. It's been, by retirement, I will be retiring at the end of the 2021 season. That'll be my 53rd season at the Muny. I started there in 1968 as a picker, picking up the trash after the show. And then in 1991, I was fortunate enough to be named president of the Muny. And it's time. I'm 68 I will be 68 years old when I retire. And it has been the most amazing job in the world.
Well, Denny, I have to ask you, how come you've worked your whole career at the Muny? Could you just not get another job anywhere?
That was probably part of it. I never tried too hard because I enjoyed the one I had so much. But I really did love working at the Muny, and it wasn't a love that I started out in loving theater, for example. But a friend of mine came to me and he said that they needed someone to help on the cleanup crew. And I said, oh, okay, I can do that. So I went out there and did it and realized what an exciting atmosphere it was at the Muny, and just had a great time. Then was given a little bit more and a little bit more responsibility. And as someone who's in their early 20s and able to solve problems and make decisions, it was an incredibly attractive job. So one thing led to another, and fortunately, I kept moving one more rung, and was able to create an entire career out of it.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you say, because the Muny has touched so many people in their lifetimes. I'm just a couple of years younger than you, and I was probably in my uncle's box seat when you were 16 and walked by. I was the kid there that spilled his soda or something. I don't know. But I grew up literally going to the Muny. I never worked there. But it's really a unique experience, and I really think it has meant so much to so many people, and I know you're aware of that.
Oh, no, I am. And I'm not sure. I probably picked up the cup that you dropped when you spilled that soda. There's no question about that. But the other thing is, you're right. I mean, you just pointed out that you came with your grandfather, I think you said, and that's what's so special about the Muny. It's generations of people coming to the Muny and enjoying the shows. It's such a great form of entertainment that grandfathers, grandmothers can bring their grandchildren and feel comfortable doing that. And that's what's happened since the Muny started in 1919. When you take a look at it, there's been, a minimum of 5 generations have enjoyed the Muny. And it's been a blast for me, standing in the spot that I stand in every single night, to see probably 2 to 3 certainly of these generations walk through.
You mentioned 1919 when the Muny starting. Aren't I remembering correctly? Wasn't it almost sort of opera related or Shakespearean or opera in the very beginning?
No, good memory. No, absolutely. That's exactly what it was. It was grand opera when it first started. Then it shifted to operetta, and they did that for a few decades. And then it went to musical theater, which is where it still sits right now.
We're going to talk about your new lineup for the shows in the second half of the program. I just want to run down and really just quick myself. Your season starts in early July and runs through early September. And just real quickly, you start out with 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, Mary Poppins, Smokey Joe's Cafe, The Sound of Music, Sweeney Todd, On Your Feet, and then you end with Chicago. Now, Denny, with the pandemic and everything that's gone on, is all this in stone, or how do you have to play this?
No, I mean, nothing's in stone, as you know, right now. The protocols are changing every day. We certainly are going to keep our planning process going full speed ahead, because our goal is to have a season here at the Muny this summer. But we are working with the city of St. Louis and health officials and everyone else to make sure that our patrons and our employees, our staff, everyone is safe. So in stone, absolutely not. We're just, as you can tell, we're starting July 5th, which is about 2.5 to 3 weeks later than we typically start. So we're giving ourselves every opportunity to be able to do this summer, but it is still quite fluid at this point.
Hmm. I guess we have to play it year by year, but take me back. 2020 was crazy for all of us in our own different ways. And I guess it really hit the fan about March. So just take me back in your mind. What do you remember when it all became apparent to you for the first time that everything is going to be different? We won't be doing our season. When did all that happen?
Well, March 16th was the day we actually closed the office. We finally didn't make a final decision until a couple of months later. But there was an awful lot of hand wringing and checking with the appropriate sources to make sure we were doing the right thing. And then, of course, it was a matter of scrambling and figure out how can we continue to connect with our audience. And that's something that was incredibly important. So what we did is we came up with a virtual season, and we did 10 different nights. Five of them were repeats of our Muny Magic at the Sheldon, and then we did 5 original variety shows for our audience so we could stay connected with them. And I am so proud of our production people and the cast and those that participated in order to make sure that we could connect with that audience. So that's what we did, and we finished those up at the end of August last year.
Is there a chance you'll continue to do that sort of thing?
I'm sorry, Steve, is there what?
Is there a chance you'll continue to do that sort of virtual thing, even if you do have shows on
I
stage?
mean, it could be, but we're not going to plan on that at this point. What we want to do is concentrate on getting on that stage and making sure we've got those large production numbers and full orchestras in the pit, entertaining the people of St. Louis.
Hmm. I have to think about, you mentioned all the people, when we go and see a show, we see the people on stage and everything. But all the people behind the scenes and all those jobs and what happened to them this past year, it had to be really tough for I don't know how many work behind the scenes people you have.
God, it was so devastating, so devastating. I mean, of course, not just the Muni. You can just think about when you talk about concert venues, any live theater, any live type of performance was not able to get on the stage. So that was a problem. When you take a look at it, we employ about 800 people over the summer, and only 37 of those are full time. So that's a lot of people that we're not being able to take home a paycheck. And not only that, of course, it impacts a lot of the businesses. When you talk about babysitters, you talk about restaurants. There's all kinds of other industries that get impacted when everybody has to stay at home. So it's been a tough time. And as I said, I just hope we can get everybody back out under the stars to watch musical theater this summer.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about your history there. You started when you were just a teenager, picking stuff up, and it led to another. What was, and we have some pictures we'll probably throw in here of you from the past with different people and things. But what was after you stopped picking things up? What was kind of the first serious job you had there?
Well, I don't know. That boy, that's everything's relative. But I guess from picker, the fact that I was a gopher at that point was serious, because my job was to make sure that all the press releases got to all the media. I was responsible for picking up many of the stars at the airport. I got to drive great people like Sonny and Sharon, Liza Minnelli, and Jim Neighbors, and just to mention a few. And that was an absolute blast to do that. But then I was the payroll clerk, I guess you'd say, and I then graduated to assistant manager, and then was finally made president in 1991.
Wow. There's a bunch of pictures of you. There's one in particular I want to share with people. It's you and a gentleman by the name of Bill Culver.
Yes, yes. And Bill Culver was the general manager, the president, before I was, and he was the one who actually gave me a chance to do the job. He told the board that he thought I was the right person. They took a chance on me, and well, here I am 31 years later, 30 years later.
One reason I wanted to show that picture of you and Bill Culver is because of your tie. You remember when ties were that big?
Of course I do. And then they got small, and then they're getting big. Now they're small again. Just hold on to all of them though, Steve.
Yeah, I couldn't resist that. Do we know who's going to be sitting in your chair down the road? You're going to retire, and not till the end of 2021, though.
That's
Do you
right.
have any say in who comes after you?
Well, I think the board's going to pay attention. Yeah, I think I will definitely have some input into that. The board actually has to make the final decision. I think what I'm really thrilled about, and what will make the transition a little simpler, is the fact that I'm going to stay on as a senior advisor. So I will be around to some degree. We've got a lot going on. We've got a capital campaign we want to wrap up. So I want to get that finished. And I also want to be there if I can help in any way with the transition in leadership. So I'll be around a little bit.
You'll probably be going to shows forever.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to just sitting in the seats and not worrying too much. But you know what? You'll still worry. I'll tell you what, the one thing I won't miss about the Muny, there is one thing I won't miss, and that is the rain. That's for sure. Those rainy nights I will not miss.
Well, we need to take a break. When we come back, I want to run down that season with you and ask you a few questions about the capital campaign too. So Denny Reagan is our guest, the CEO and the president of the Muny, and we'll be back with more City Corner right after this.
What I love about St. Louis is the 79 unique neighborhoods nestled into 108 city parks, including Forest Park, which is actually larger than Central Park in New York, and of course, the beautiful Tower Grove Park where I'm at now. Oh, the St. Louis Blues. We've got the St. Louis Surge, two-time WBCBL champions. We've got Harris Stowe, WashU, St. Louis University, and of course, the 11-time World Series champion, St. Louis Cardinals. So come experience St. Louis.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Exploration Wonder Park is a go!
There's nothing more powerful than imagination. But don't just imagine. Use STEM to change the world.
Who's with me?
Oh, it's gonna hurt tomorrow.
If she can STEM, so can you. Find out more at She Can STEM.
I'm Steve Potter. Welcome back to City Corner. We're talking to Dennis Reagan today. Denny is the CEO of the Muny and president of the Muny, has been for a couple of decades, spent his whole career there. Denny, we were talking about that earlier. This is a big question, but after a lifetime at the Muny, I'm sure there's some things you're proud of in particular. There have been a lot of accomplishments and things, but when you look back, what stands out to you as the most rewarding, either specific thing you've done over the years or something in general?
Gosh, I think it has to be one of the most recent things we're working on right now, and that is the capital campaign. It's a $100 million campaign. We're currently raised $86 million in that. We've done so many improvements to the theater, to the patron amenities. We redid the concession stands and the restrooms and the seats and the concrete and that. We rebuilt the stage 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. And this year we're working on all the support facilities backstage. So when this current project is completed, the entire campus of the Muny will have been renovated. And that's something I'm incredibly proud of. Besides that, we will also have our endowment will have increased to a point where it will certainly help ensure the future of the Muny by being able to enhance productions and also allow us to weather things like we are weathering right now with this pandemic. So it's one of the most recent things that we've worked on, but I think it is my favorite accomplishment, certainly.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting. You were talking about the construction work that was done on the stage and the surround and backstage too, I guess. I'm trying to remember now. All that was planned and everything and I guess actually began before all the pandemic started, right?
It was. No, that's the thing. That's what the construction is finishing up right now. We have been raising the money for about 3 years now. We're going to wrap that up hopefully in this year. But yes, the construction on the stage, as I said, happened 2 years ago. This phase that we're in now was certainly scheduled. And if there's any type of silver lining on the pandemic, it is because it allowed us to start our construction a little earlier than we would have if we would have had a season last summer. So that's good news from that perspective.
And I'm thinking too, the Muny is such a big place. I want to say 10,000 seats. I think I'm right. So as opposed to like an indoor theater, if you have to space people out, you've got more room to do it than a lot of other facilities.
We do, but if social distancing is in place, we're going to have to do some pretty fancy seating in order to make it work because we need a certain number of people. Our productions are incredibly large and we produce them ourselves, which means we build the costumes, we build the sets, we rehearse them. So they're very expensive and we only have 1 week to play them. So we're going to look at everything there. We're outdoors. We're hoping that's going to help our chances to some degree. But we'll just have to see, as I said, what the protocols are in place, and we'll stay in touch with the city and with the health officials to make sure we're keeping everyone safe.
Well, we're glad you at least have a tentative schedule out. And I want to kind of run down the schedule now and you can make comments on the shows. Way it looks now, your season's going to start on July 5th and run through September the 5th. So July 5th through the 11th, 7 brides for 7 brothers. Yeah,
that's it truly is one of my favorite shows. And we're doing and the reason for that is the incredible choreography in that. I don't know if you've seen the movie or your viewers have seen the movie, but it has some of the absolute greatest dance numbers there is. And it's one of those classic shows that we put into a season. What we typically try to do is to get 2 or 3 classic shows, certainly a children's show and something new, at least 1 and maybe up to 3 new shows. So we try to get something that's going to hit a lot of demographics, but also attract a new audience, but make sure that we're relating to the people who have been there for a while as well.
Mhm. The next show on the schedule runs July 14th through July the 22nd. And this is a show that I think I saw the movie I think it was one of the first movies I remember going to see when I was a little kid, Mary Poppins.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you'll notice if you look at those dates, it's actually going to run a couple of extra performances. We anticipate some pretty big crowds for that. That is our children's show. And the effects in that, last time we did it, were amazing. We actually flew Mary Poppins over the audience. I have no idea what's in store for us this year, but I'm sure it will be something just as spectacular. So that's going to be a great one. Of course, that has such great music in it, super califragilistic and all the other wonderful songs that are in it. Next show we have, though, up there is Smokey Joe's Cafe. That's a song with some fantastic music that you all will remember, 50s and some of the 60s as well, that they've done. And then we come in with The Sound of Music. And The Sound of Music is such a classic Rodgers and Hammerstein show, and one that is always such a huge favorite with the St. Louis audience. Once again, that has incredible music in it as well, with Climb Every Mountain and, of course, the title song. So great music there. That would also qualify, it kind of qualifies into two categories. You could consider that a children's show, and it certainly is a classic as well.
Absolutely it is. And that one's August 3rd to 9th, The Sound of Music. That brings us to August 12th through 18. And I almost think maybe I haven't seen the show. It sounds crazy. I must be the only one. Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, Sweeney Todd, it's a Stephen Sondheim show, and it is a beautiful score. And it has, Opera Theater's actually done it once. The Rep has done it once. And now it's going to be on our stage. And this would certainly qualify as, for us, one of the newer shows.
Well, Denny, this next one, you'll have to correct me, let me know if I'm thinking correctly. August 21st to the 27th. It's a show, I feel like the Muny did it only a year or two ago. And I didn't see it, but I remember thinking about it because I think of Jennifer Lopez. On Your Feet. Am I thinking about the right one?
No, and I'm not sure exactly what that show would be, but On Your Feet is about Gloria Estefan.
Oh, I got my artists mixed up, but right.
Right. So Gloria Estefan, it's kind of her story that's there, and it's got all that. Once again, the music, the score in that is just fantastic, very upbeat, and once again, that would qualify as one of our newer shows. But then we're wrapping up the season, and I'm not sure, you'll have to give me the dates on that. I don't have those in front of me.
That's August, the next one you're talking about. And this is, I may have gotten On Your Feet mixed up, but this is a show I've seen many times. August 30th through September the 5th, Chicago.
Yeah, amazing show. It's going to be a great finale for this season. That one is actually closing. I'm almost positive that's Labor Day weekend. So as I said, we're moving that season a little later, and that'll put that there. But what that show has, it's an older show with a newer feel. It's got incredible dancing and an incredible score as well. So that's got a lot of everything, let's just say.
Well, Denny, I'm thinking, since you've been the longtime president and CEO of the Muny, I guess you just go to your office once a year, sit down, and you go, here are the shows I'm picking out.
It's not quite that simple. As a matter of fact, we do count a great deal. I mean, people fill out the surveys, and we really appreciate them filling out those surveys. And we take those back, we tally them, and we make a lot of our decisions based on those. As I said, we do have a formula: children's shows, some classics, and some newer fare as well. But we do listen to the audience. We started doing that back in the 90s. And it's something that has paid off quite well for us. So I think we'll continue doing that.
Just a little more about that. I understand you take all that in, but then is there a small group of people that get together at the end and look at the top 20 and then choose, then choose them? Or
Yeah,
when it
well,
comes down to
there
the
is.
end, how does that work?
We do take it. There's a repertory committee of the board. So Mike Isaacson, who's our executive producer, he and I and Kofi Coleman, who's our managing director, we sit down and we talk about what shows, how they fit into the schedule. And when I say the schedule, you've got it fitting into how to build them, even the sets, that type of thing. What pieces can be used over again? So we take all that into account. Then what we do is we take the shows to the committee, the repertory committee of the board, and the final decisions are made at that meeting.
Well, I'm thinking, Denny, your season now starts in July. You've chosen the shows. You tell me how it works. What about cast members and all that? You're not able to line all them up this early, are you?
Oh, sure. Well, again, this is a strange year because what we're doing is we postpone the shows from the 2020 season into 2021. So essentially the casting has all been done for this year. Typically what we would be doing is holding our auditions in January and February. So you're right, our auditions would not have been held, at least as far as the ensemble is concerned. Of course, and some of the principal actors, a lot of times the directors know kind of who they want, but no, we're way ahead. Let's just say we're way ahead of the game at this point.
Mm-hmm. Is the Muny a busy place now in the office?
Well, no, certainly we're not in the office now. For one reason, we're being remodeled, but secondly, COVID kicked us out last March 16th, and we are all still working at home.
Denny, I've just got a few seconds left, but number one, I just want to congratulate you on a wonderful career. I feel privileged to have known you and to have gone to the Muny a million times. I know you're going to stick around in an advisory position for the next year, but do you have any, just in a few seconds, what else do you do? Do you go fishing? Do you ride your bicycle?
No, I do. I enjoy fishing. Let me say what I do. First of all, let me say, Steve, to you, you've been a good friend. You've been there for us through my 30 years, frankly. I don't know how many of those, but almost every one of those. So thank you for that. To answer your final question, let me just say that my wife, Michelle, and I, we have 3 children. They all live in St. Louis. We're very fortunate for that. And we have 6 grandchildren and 1 on the way. So believe me, I am going to be, and they're all in St. Louis, as I pointed out. So believe me, I'll be incredibly busy doing that.
Denny Reagan, thank you so much, and enjoy your last year at the Muny in the full-time job capacity. And we look forward to the whole show lineup and continuing to support such a wonderful institution. Best of luck in the future, and thanks again so much.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
I'm Steve Potter, and thank you for watching City Corner. Join us next time.